Awaken yourself to the third eye. The foundation of an ancient truth. Meditative voyagers, astral travelers, projectors, and every one of you out there on your individual path seeking knowledge, awakening and enlightenment. Welcome to the Third Eye Project. And thank you for choosing to listen to the Voice in the Dark series. I am so excited to share with you my journey, discoveries, insights and experience with meditation and finding enlightenment, with the belief that experience will bring you to greater spiritual growth and ultimately your awakening of self. This material is part of the ultimate course in meditation, Third Eye Awakening, Consciousness and Enlightenment, including beings outer, parallel dimensions and of course gateways. Knowledge of the aforementioned is foundational and absolutely vital for the mind, body and spirit's practical development. In this multi-part series, we discuss how to open your third eye by correctly applying the wisdom of the ancient civilizations and use it as a means to be more conscious and aware of your spiritual journey into the realms outer. The lecture method is simple, it goes far out with the core subject to give the necessary broad perspective, then zooms in on specifics by making mental and visual connections that are vital to the goal of third eye awakening. Nothing beats having a firm theoretical foundation on awakening of self and the third eye, because it is the basis of successful practical application. As is to be expected, the subject matter on meditation, third eye awakening, consciousness and enlightenment is very deep, with a scope of information infinitely vast. It cannot be crammed into just a few podcasts. So, let's just agree to take it one message at a time. After all, a journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with one single step. Before we go any further, allow me to briefly introduce myself. I am traveler number 42, a meditative traveler, one of many, but you can all call me the Voice in the Dark. I am a beacon, sending out the I am call, in this vast and void multiverse of higher consciousness. Let those with ears hear the call. On that note, I guess it goes without saying, anonymity is a choice I have made, at least for now. Most of the principles and information imparted in this meditative series defies earthly logic, contradicts mainstream scientific beliefs and will shake you to the very core of your being, challenging everything you currently know, believe and have held true about meditation, third eye awakening, consciousness, and enlightenment. There is power in the method, and you certainly owe it to yourself, to awaken your I am state of being, and give resurrection to your entire chakra system, and with that, experience the truth of your primal non-physical world and existences. Awakening of self is like a puzzle of the ancient civilizations. If you can put the pieces together, the third eye opens. So, if you are really interested in opening the third eye, meditation, awakening, the search for higher consciousness, or you want to sincerely embark on your soul-searching journey towards enlightenment, you are most definitely finally in the right place. I believe that a great foundation in the theory of awakening and meditation must always precede practice. If you firstly grasp the fundamentals and the principles of exactly why something works, the application then becomes a downhill ride. Before it escapes me, please click subscribe to join the Third Eye Project's YouTube channel. You subscribing spurs me on to making these videos. You can also go a step further and take up a paid tier membership on the Third Eye Project's Patreon page, and actually support my work experimenting into awakening consciousness and enlightenment. As a paid member, you can instantly see the mind-blowing results of my experimentation to date. You will be pleasantly left dumbfounded, but more importantly, kindly share this series with others looking for that unique meditative experience. You just might be that catalyst that nudges someone to their journey of ultimate awakening of self. In the act of you freely giving the Third Eye Project the 3 seconds it takes to click subscribe and join the Consciousness Project, you position yourself perfectly to receive the eventual episode of precise words that will be your eureka moment and ultimate transformation of self. As you give freely, so too shall you receive freely. Now let's begin with the subject of the day, awakening yourself to the third eye. Awakening of self is a term given to describe a subjective experience in which an individual's inner being, spirit or soul transcends their ordinary earthly limiting mindset, for an infinite sense of an existence deep within oneself that encompass a wider, infinite sense of truth or divine reality. There are enormous benefits of awakening self that far exceed the non-lasting feeling of bliss, happiness, oneness with nature and all that other stuff guided meditation promises. I have found that awakening of self comes as a result of the self experiencing several spontaneous eureka thought-provoking spirit moments. That's all it takes for the internal churning of self to begin and complete transformation to follow. For centuries, awakening of self has always been directly associated with the development of the third eye, a mystical and esoteric concept in Indian spiritual traditions, of a speculative invisible eye, usually depicted as located on the forehead between the eyebrows, which provides deep perception way beyond ordinary vision. The third eye is the gateway that leads to the inner realms and space of higher consciousness, symbolizing the realm of enlightenment. An open third eye is associated with spirit visions, clairvoyance, the ability to in full spectrum observe auras and chakras, precognition, out-of-body experiences and outer worldly knowledge. Due to lack of use and improper dietary habits, the third eye in 99% of people remains closed or inactive. Many people have touted the idea that fluoride, in drinking water and other products humans consume daily, leads to the calcification of the pineal gland, an organ located in the center of the brain. Its primary function is the regulation of the light and dark cycles and secretion of melatonin. Many believe it gets its name because it resembles a pine cone. I totally disagree, but until we get to our lesson on that specific gland, it is suffice to know that its existence directly correlates to functionality of the third eye and awakening of self. It is therefore very imperative that as soul traveler, that you strive to open your third eye. It should be your number one priority and sole purpose. Siddhartha Gautama, known to us today as the Buddha, is a perfect example of a soul traveler, who searched for enlightenment. Ancient texts say it started as a churning within himself, that progressed into his unrelenting desire to find the meaning of suffering and seek liberation for himself and others. Eventually at age 35, underneath the Bodhi tree, at Bodh Gaya, in present-day Bihar, the Buddha achieved enlightenment, and Nibbana or Nirvana is Sanskrit. Being the highest state of profound well-being a human is capable of attaining. The mind's eye awakens from delusion, is liberated from bondage, is cleansed of all its defilements, and self becomes entirely at peace, experiencing the complete cessation of suffering, in other words the awakening of self to the open third eye. Nikola Tesla, the part creative genius, part off-center scientist, one of the most brilliant and influential inventor-scientists of all time. You may not have ever heard of him before, but his phenomenal discoveries and inventions have directly and indirectly shaped your life. It is apparent that he devotedly studied several ancient practices of Tibetan Buddhism, Indian texts and meditated. It is no surprise that his inventions are currently used in every country all across the world, irrespective of the fact he passed away penniless and alone. He often said publicly that his third eye created visual images indistinguishable from reality. With time, he fully developed strategies to gain absolute control of these highly informative visions, using his power of visualization to explore imagined places and objects within his mind. Tesla's power of visualization was the foundation of his prolific career as an inventor. Albert Einstein's ability to conduct visual experiments was instrumental to his discoveries. The many parables of Jesus Christ, and his continuous message of liberation of self, demonstrates his own awakening of being. Then there is the missing years of Christ, where mounting evidence place him in the Orient in Puri and Rajgir, near Nalanda, the ancient seat of Hindu learning. Then he went to the Himalayas, spending time in Tibetan monasteries, studying Buddhism, then through Persia, and returned to Jerusalem at the age of 30. There are several other people, in almost every discipline from music, religion through to science, whose successes, creations and discoveries are all attributed to awakening of self in the third eye, even in cases where they did not know it. In today's society we call them geniuses. Back to Nikola Tesla, he is famously credited for the statement, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration." This is a very profound Trinity statement, one that several ancient civilizations including the Sumerians, the Aztecs, the Maya and later the Egyptians knew the power of. Energy, frequency and vibration is everything. And with their deep understanding and application of it along with other great universal principles, they all exhibited access to higher outer worldly knowledge and precise sacred geometry, found everywhere in the calculations, drawings, hieroglyphics, writings and monumental building structures they left behind. Several of which in part or whole still exist today. Also, every one of these ancient civilizations dating from 6000 BCE had a variation of the third eye symbol all over their belief system. The question is, why was great importance given to the third eye, and why was much attention given to keeping its knowledge secret? Let's zoom in. In the book of Genesis, man is forbidden to eat of a specific tree. Later in the story, the same tree is mentioned as the tree of knowledge of good and evil, whose fruit would make man be as gods. Hold that thought. Secondly, a closer look at the cave drawings, hieroglyphics, scores of tales, myths and early writings all show a very compelling similarity between ancient civilizations, especially those of the Sumerian, the Aztec, the Maya, Egyptian, Orients, and the Dogon, irrespective of these civilizations living some hundreds of years, centuries and geolocations apart. Perfect examples are found in the similarity of creation and great flood stories. Every ancient civilization had a variation of those same stories, with similarities that indicate greater knowledge from a common source. They all looked to the stars with perfect understanding and knowledge of astronomy. Also common to all civilizations was the idea of human contact with outer worldly celestial beings. Aliens, as we call them today. All the ancients had this central alien concept immortalized as drawings engraved in some form of rock, tablet, wall, scroll, book or belief system. The important thing to observe is the treasure trove of similar evidence that lies in their general nature, precision and attention to detail. Finally, common to all ancients was the building of precise monumental sacred structures, without leaving a trace of the build. The Tower of Babel, the Nazca Lines, the Moai statues of Easter Island, Mohenjo-Daro in Pakistan, Machu Picchu in Peru, the Mayan, Egyptian or the Chinese pyramids in the Shenxi province, the Wall of Jericho, and Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, just to name a few. In reality, the list of these astronomically positioned sites around the world is long. And here is the surprising thing, all these structures are by their longitude and latitude, even though built by different civilizations, located thousands of miles apart, they all line up perfectly, in a 100-kilometer wide geographic line, that stretches in a 25,000-mile circle around Earth. Let's call it, the spiritual belt of the Earth. Coincidentally, it is the precise length of the equator. There too, lies more proof of ancient civilization's connection to the same universal source of knowledge. Question: how were these similarities, consistencies and astronomical precisions possible? And more so, explainable, when in centuries past, intercommunication of civilizations was not yet possible. Early civilizations didn't have a clue of the existence of other distant civilizations and more so what sacred practices or traditions they had. But there must be a connection. Somewhere that can be proven. The answer, I believe, lies in the first law of thermodynamics, which states that energy can be changed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or destroyed. So the total amount of energy and matter in the universe remains constant, merely changing from one form to another. Put another way, there is a power existent within the universe, a natural phenomena of a pulsating, never-changing energy source, that holds in itself the particle equivalent of everything that was, is and will ever be. An infinitive memory energy of all universal knowledge. It exists perpetually within the ether, and is part of the substance prana is made of. Some scholars call it the Akashic Records. I call it something else, but we will get to that in due course. Do you remember what Nikola Tesla famously said, about energy frequency and vibration? I believe that in centuries past, in an era of no electrification, when the moon and its frequency populated the darkness, due to the diet of the times, people's third eye sight was more easily triggered by what is referred to as the pineal gland. Allowing several initiated people of civilizations like the Sumerians, Aztec, Maya, Egyptian, Dogon, early Christian, Buddhists, Hindu and so on, century after century, to with activated third eyes, actually see into this never-changing source of raw frequency, energy, and vibration. The actual hiding place of universal knowledge and secrets of the being's outer. This is how and where the similarities and consistencies of the ancient civilizations originate from. However, the different people's interpretations of the same never-changing source, based on their time of existence, produced variations of the same concepts. The following might be a stretch for an uninitiated mind, but I believe without reservation that just like water has been proven by the experiments of Dr. Masaru Emoto to hold memory. The collective energy in the entire universe retains an infinitive memory of every event that ever was, is and will be. Memory that covers the entire realm of time as layers stacked on top of each other. giving the truest meaning to the statement as is above, so is below. For the sake of clarity, let's delve deeper. Gregg Braden, a 5-time New York Times best-selling author, scientist, an educator, along with others like Eric von Däniken, Paul Wallace, Whitley Strieber, Graham Hancock, and hundreds of other prominent people, all who have spent their entire lives researching the subject, have all postulated that the gods, beings and aliens at some point in the history of humankind visited Earth and interacted with humans. Due to the overwhelming evidence ancient civilizations left behind, carved in stones and written in scores of unearthed sacred text. Contrary to mainstream opinion, I believe it was the other way round, in that, the sons and daughters of early civilizations, through their initiated open third eyes, interacted with the energy equivalent of universal knowledge of beings outer, which then led to the deep-seated belief in the existence of alien gods, followed by construction of great monuments and structures, all erected to commune with the physical gods. Then came the aliens or gods. This order of things fills in several gaps and explains the proliferation of the awakened third eye beliefs of ancient civilizations. This would imply that the great monuments and structures were built with outer worldly knowledge to act as beacons or gateways to commune with, or for entry and exit of the gods, or for mankind to transform self in life or death. For example, in old Indian texts, dating at least 6,000 years ago, in the 5th book of the Mahabharata, named Maushala Parva, there is an exciting narrated account of 3 cities, hovering above the earth in the firmament. In those times the word spaceship did not exist. But the account goes on to say that as people looked up to the skies amazed, smaller vehicles, termed as vimanas, came forth from the floating cities and brought with them alien gods. In the Holy Bible, there too exist hundreds of well-documented accounts of alien and angelic encounters. In the book of Genesis, Adam hears God and hides. Noah too encounters God before the great flood. The 2nd book of Enoch portrays Enoch's encounter with the Lord in the celestial realm. Enoch describes it: "I saw the view of the face of the Lord, like iron made burning hot, and it emits sparks and is incandescent." In the book of Revelations, St. John describes the appearance of a heavenly city referred to as the New Jerusalem, that descends from the sky. All these events most normally evoke a reaction of, "This must have been a dream," or in most cases disbelief to the rational mind. Yet at the time the events supposedly occurred, they were a reality that had great visual significance to the people who experienced or witnessed them. So much so, that these outer worldly events that collectively number in the thousands, made it into the most sacred of books, of every religion. That can't be coincidence. I believe the culprit, in all these instances, was their access to hidden universal knowledge and abilities achieved by the use of their open third eyes, knowing or unknowingly. This is another justification for you or anyone else to strive in the appropriate manner to open your third eye. The benefits, abilities and outer worldly knowledge you will acquire or witness in the open third eye state of being will far surpass anything you could achieve in your normal waking state. However, you are not going to awaken self or your third eye instantly by occasionally quietening the mind, listening to binaural beats, Om chants or guided meditation. It takes a sincere transformation of self, brought on by a spiritual churning within self that leads to a burning desire for the theoretical understanding of the evidence the ancient civilizations left behind, along with unseen principles that govern secrets of the universe, gateways and parallel dimensions. Backed by strong commitment, discipline, devotion and hours of practice. Only then, when the transformed student is actually ready, will the master appear. On that note, I believe I have scattered the seeds of truth in connection with awakening of self and consequently the opening of your third eye. What remains is for you to give them fertile soil, in the depths of your consciousness, and grow they will into the mighty oak of understanding that precedes transformation of self. In part 2 of this series, link in the description, I introduce the concept of meditative travel, the only true means by which travel into the realms and dimensions outer is possible. It is certainly one episode that you won't want to miss. For those of you who want a fresh perspective and to ask specific questions or to know how you too can embark on your journey of self-transformation and eventual awakening, I vow to get you there, to the very edge of awakening of self. So subscribe now, because this work can only keep going with the motivation from committed people and patrons like you. I need your support, because in truth, you collectively make it all happen. This is the Third Eye Project channel, and I am Traveler number 42, the voice in the dark. Until next time, meditators and soul travelers, thank you so much for coming.